So right in front of us, this batch is actually shop houses. Penang has been recognized as the UNESCO World Heritage Sites at the years of 2008. And in order for you to get a UNESCO World Heritage Site recognitions, you must fulfill at least one out of the 11 outstanding universal value. And Penang, Georgetown, we have fulfilled at least 3 outstanding universal value that make us to be one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So one of the 3 that we met is actually our unique architecture that we have here in Georgetown, right? So right in front of us, these shop houses here, we call it as shop houses because the ground floor areas is actually known as, is actually a business areas, we call it as shops, and the second floor areas is known as the houses areas. So we call this as shop houses. So these shop houses was initially created and architect by the Chinese architect. So I always say that the architect in the old day, they are better than the architect that we have today. Why I say so? Because in the old day, they use a lot of technology that to help to build the building. And today, most of the time, we make it into east. So that is very different. So why this building is very important? Because the building materials that they built, right? This one, right? The building materials that they built, they are not made from normal brick stones and cement. They are made from limestones. So right in front, inside these building materials here, apart from the brick stones, they also use the cement of limestones to cement up the building, right? And the paint that you see here, right, is actually painted using lime wash. So these limestones and lime wash is very important because it actually give you is actually a breathable material. This is a breathable material. So when Penang, in Penang, we are in a very hot and humid areas. So most of the time it was very warm. With these kind of materials that used to build this building, it's more breathable. So when you walk into these shop houses, you won't feel any heat inside the building, right? So when you walk inside, even in the old day, there is no aircon, you won't feel the heat. One of the main reason behind is because of the building materials. A second reason behind is because if let's say look across, right, the shop houses on the ground floor areas, you will see they have like 2 small windows there, right? On top of the big window, there are these 2 small windows. These 2 small windows, it also provide ventilations into the house, into the shop houses. So these 2 small windows will work with the air well. So right inside the building, there is also a big air well. Will provide the ventilation hole for the whole ventilation to go into the building. And these 2 small windows here, it must be small. It cannot be too big. It must be, the biggest they can go is this size. You can see here, the biggest. It cannot be bigger than that. Why? Because when it's small, it will create air pressure inside the house, right? Air pressure. So when you sit inside the house, you know sometimes when we close our door, the gap between the floor, you always feel there is a wind there, right? So even there is no wind outside, but the gap of the floor, you always feel the wind. Why is so? Because of air pressure. They use the same theory here. So when they build these shop houses, that by providing these 2 small windows on top, these 2 small windows will create air pressure inside the house. So when you're sitting at the normal day inside the building, when you close up all the windows, like you can see here, all the windows and door, when you sit inside, you will feel the wind that blowing in towards to inside your house, even there is no wind outside, because of the air pressure. So because of this, in the shop houses in the old day, you won't feel any heat at all, right? Okay, so we will move towards to the other side to show you more about the. So after you look at the shop houses just now you look at this batch of the shop houses here. They are slightly different from just now. So in Penang, sometimes when you walk around the town of Georgetown, you will see there are different design of shop houses. These different in design of shop houses indicate to you the different generations of shop houses, right? So this generation changes because the mood of the Chinese changes according to the time. Initially, when the Chinese first arrived here in Penang, their main intention was not to stay here for long. Their main intention was to come here to earn the money and then go back to China. But as time goes by, they start to, because the time there is a lot of political instability in China, and also there is also an opium war, and they start to realize that China is no longer a good place to stay. They rather to settle down here. So they start to build their houses better and better, prettier and prettier, right? So the first generation shop houses is not really here. Later I will show it to you. But if let's say look at the brown color one here, this brown color shop houses, this is actually the second generation shop houses. These second generation shop houses, we call it as the Southern Chinese Elatic design. Southern Chinese. So most of the Chinese that arrived here in Penang, they came from Southern China, near to Fukien, Canton areas. So when they came over here that time, they also bring along the architecture to build according to their design in Southern China. So today, if let's say you go to Fukien in China, you walk around the street there, sometimes you will see the shop houses resemble much of this design, where the windows on the second floor are all connected together, like this one, connected together. And there's a ventilation hole right below the windows areas. These are the characteristics of the second generation shop houses. We call it the Southern Chinese Elatic design. So this batch here, this whole batch here, you can see is slightly different. These are the third generation shop houses. We call that as the early straight elatic design. So if let's say look closely, this design has been started to get influenced by British architecture, because later on the British have arrived here, and the Chinese people here have do a lot of tradings with the British, and they learn up their design and architecture as well. So you can see the pillars and the windows on the second floor are pretty much a British alike design. These are the third generation shop houses. And you look at this red color one, this red color building. This red color building is actually the fourth generation shop houses. We call that as the late straight elatic design, right? So this late straight elatic design, you can see most of the thing is already a British design, Western design, and even the windows on the second floor are all have a lot of sculpture. The British sculptures, that design is into that sense. But even though it's all British architecture, you can, let's say look closely into the middle part of the shop houses. On top there, you can still see a pakwa, a Chinese pakwa with two Chinese lions, to indicate to you that these shop houses, although was the British design, it still left a Chinese mark there. That is the key characteristics of the fourth generation shop houses. So these second, third, and fourth generation shop houses, they are very unique because they are all the pre-war shop houses. And the second generation one is more than 100 over years, 150 years. Even the newest one, the fourth generation shop houses, is already at least about 80 years to 100 years is old, this building. If let's say look back at the second generation shop houses and the fourth generation shop houses, you will see that on the roof areas, they have these gable. The gable areas, they are very different. It's not really like a sharp end to another. It's like a curve over. So why is so? Because in the early days, the Chinese people here, they are a little bit superstitious. So they believe in 5 elements in the world. So for Chinese feng shui, they believe there are these 5 elements. These 5 elements are, we have the earth, woods, gold, water, and earth, right? I didn't mention earth. So this fire, the 5th one, the 5th. So these 5 elements of life, we believe that is the key to everyone. So for Chinese feng shui master, they believe that everyone, when they born, they are attached with one kind of elements. So what your element are, very easy today. You can just go to Google and search, put in your birthday, and then they'll calculate for you what kind of element to your life, right? So back then, they believed that, because in feng shui, they believe in yin and yang, the balance of life. So each of these elements, they will actually complement each other. And no matter what element that you have, you always lacking off another element because of balance of life, feng shui, right? So back then, the Chinese people here, they are a little bit superstitious. So what they do is that when they build their houses, they will build to the houses to accommodate to the element they are lacking of. So example, let's say look at these houses here, these second generation shop houses. This roof here indicate to you this is a gold element shop houses, a gold element. Which means that that time, most probably the owner of this house, they are the earth elements owner. So earth elements people, they are lack of gold. They need gold to complement what they are lacking of. So when they build their house, they need to build a gold roof house to accommodate what they are lacking of, right? So sometimes when you look at the gable of the shop houses here in Penang, they are very different. Sometimes you see the wavy one. right? The wavy one. The wavy one, it's not here. The wavy one is actually water element. Sometimes you see the thorny one. The thorny one is fire element. Sometimes you see like the angle one, there's an angle one, they are referring to woods elements. Then they are earth, which is this one. These are slightly flattened down. This is earth elements, right? So different elements indicate to you what kind of things they are lacking of the time. So by walking in Georgetown, looking at the house elements here, the gable roof areas, you'll roughly get to know what kind of elements that the owner initially, what they are lacking of, right? So I'll be stopping here. We go to the next site.